Okay, this is great. I can see everyone starting to join. I think we'll wait just another minute until everyone joins and then we can begin the webinar. And I can see we've got a lot of people from all around the world. It's great to see. Okay. Yes, please, everyone feel free to share in the chat. Say hello to us. Tell us where you're from. We'll be happy to see where everyone is joining us from. Okay. Excellent. Nice to meet everyone. Okay. So I think this is a good opportunity to start the webinar. First of all, I'd like to say good morning, good evening, and good afternoon to everyone, and welcome to the UNEVOC Network Coaction Initiative 2026 launch webinar. So my name is Rory Goff, and I'm a program assistant, an assistant program officer with UNESCO-UNEVOC since 2019, and I've had the privilege of coordinating the Coaction Initiative since we first piloted the program in 2022, and today I'll be moderating the session. So having worked with the initiative from the beginning, one of the things that I have come to value the most about the Coaction Initiative is its very practical nature. The UNEVOC network contains an enormous amount of expertise, but a network becomes particularly valuable when that expertise is put to work collaboratively. So the Coaction Initiative creates a relatively small and focused space in which centres from different countries and institutional contexts can take a shared challenge and actually build something together. And I think that distinction is important. The aim is not to collaborate for collaboration's sake or simply another opportunity to exchange experiences. The projects ask partners to move from discussion to doing, to develop something, test it, adapt it, and ultimately share what they have learned. So from coordinating the projects over the last few years, I've also seen that the collaboration itself can be as valuable as the final output. Partners inevitably approach the same issue differently. So ideas have to be adjusted to different institutional, national contexts, and the processes often produces some of the most useful learning. This is why today it's very deliberately a launch webinar rather than a showcase webinar. We're going to have a showcase webinar in December where we actually come back and we talk about the projects and how they have been implemented. So today we are meeting with the project teams at the beginning of the implementation. Today is about understanding what they want to achieve, why they have chosen their particular approaches, and what we can follow and learn from the work as it develops. So before we begin, I would like to acknowledge and thank the German Federal Ministry of Education and Family Affairs, Senior Citizens, Women and Youth for its support, and the German Federal Institute for Vocational Education and Training. So the Coaction Initiative actually contributes to the coordinated effort towards a global TVET agenda made possible through this funding. So we have a full program ahead of today. It's going to take about 90 minutes. Following our opening remarks, we will hear briefly about the wider Towards a Global TVET Agenda initiative before turning to our 4 coaction projects. So each project presentation will be followed by time for questions and answers, or questions and discussions. What I would recommend is that at the bottom of the screen, you will see Q&A. In this box, you can put in your questions that we can refer to during the Q&A session. Alternatively, if you would like to raise your hand, we will also come to each of these people who would like to answer the questions. So with this, we will begin. It's now my pleasure to invite Mr. Kenny Muscat, who's the Program Officer for Innovation and Excellence in TVET at UNESCO-UNEVOC, to provide our open, welcoming remarks and introduce the Coaction Initiative and this year's portfolio of projects. So Kenny, over to you.
Thank you so much, Rory, for the introduction. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. It is a pleasure to open today's webinar and to bring together colleagues from across the UNEVOC network, as well as the wider TVET community, to introduce the projects currently being supported through this year's UNEVOC Network Coaction Initiative. Since we started this initiative back in 2022, 15 projects have been supported, involving several UNEVOC centres across several countries, demonstrating the reach that this program has already achieved across the network. As mentioned by Rory, between the years 2025 and 2027, the UNEVOC Network Coaction Initiative is contributing to the Towards a Global TVET Agenda initiative, which is being funded by the German Federal Ministry for Education, Family Affairs, Senior Citizens, Women and Youth, and coordinated by the German Federal Institute for Vocational Education and Training, which is also a UNEVOC center here in Germany. The value of the Coaction Initiative is not only in the number of projects or institutions involved. The initiative was created to provide UNEVOC centers with a mechanism for working together on shared TVET challenges. Its emphasis is on collaboration that leads to something concrete: a tool, a training resource, a curriculum, a model, a toolkit, or another output that can be tested in practice and potentially adapted by other TVET institutions. The UNEVOC Network Coaction Initiative is about making use of one of the UNEVOC Network's greatest strengths, the expertise that already exists within its member institutions. Different centers bring different experiences, institutional strengths, and national perspectives. By bringing these together around a clearly defined challenge, the initiative allows UNEVOC centers not only to exchange knowledge, but to jointly develop institutions and learn from their implementation. The 4 projects being supported this year illustrate this well. One project, led by the Education University of Hong Kong, is bringing together greening and digital transformation through the development of a baseline assessment tool that will help TVET institutions examine how digital technologies can support their sustainability transition. A second project, led by the École d'Hôtellerie et de Tourisme Paul Dubrul in Cambodia, is using a living lab and train-the-trainer approach to strengthen institutional capacity around greening, digitalisation, and inclusion, with the aim of producing a toolkit that can be used more widely. The craft project, led by the Chamber of Skilled Crafts Koblenz in Germany, focuses on sustainable construction. Partners from different regions will develop and test practical qualification modules in green construction skills, while also considering how skills trades can become more attractive to young people and particularly to women. And the project, led by the Higher Colleges of Technology in the United Arab Emirates, addresses a different but increasingly important dimension of TVET: intercultural competence and global citizenship. It is developing professional development and learning resources, including technology-supported approaches and micro-credentials to better prepare faculty and learners for diverse and international working environments. These projects differ in subject matter, but they have an important feature in common. Each is expected to produce practical knowledge and resources that extend beyond the immediate project partnership. Over the coming few months, we are therefore interested not only in whether the planned activities are completed, but what the project teach us, what these projects teach us. What approaches work in practice? What needs to be adapted when working across different institutions and national contexts? What useful resources can be produced? And what can be shared with other members of the UNEVOC network and the wider TVET community? This morning's webinar is an opportunity to hear directly from the 4 project teams at the beginning of this process to understand the challenges that they are addressing, the approaches that they are considering, and the results they hope to achieve. I would like to thank all of the lead and partner centers for the expertise, for their time and institutional commitment that they are bringing to these collaborations. We look forward to learning about their progress over the coming months and to sharing the knowledge and outputs they generate with the wider UNEVOC network and TVET community. Thank you, and I wish you all a productive webinar. Over to you, Rory.
Thank you very much, Kenny. And thank you for giving us an overview and introduction to each of the projects, which we will introduce just after the next input. The Co-Action Initiative sits within a wider collaboration under the Towards a Global TVET agenda. Now, to provide some context on that broader initiative and its objectives, I'm very pleased to welcome Ms. Kara Schmidt, who's the project officer at the German Federal Institute for Vocational Education and Training. So, Kara, thank you very much for joining us today. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Rory. Dear colleagues, dear partners, fellow UNEVOC Centres, it is a great pleasure to join you today and to welcome you on behalf of the Federal Institute for Vocational Education and Training, BABB in short, to the launch of the 2026 UNEVOC Network Coaction Initiative. My name is Kara Schmidt and I'm a project officer at BABB. And for those of you who may not be familiar with BABB, we are Germany's National Center of Excellence for Vocational Education and Training. Based in Bonn, we combine research, policy advice, regulatory work, innovation, and international cooperation in TVET. And we are also a UNEVOC Center. And I'm particularly pleased to be here today because the Coaction Initiative represents in many ways what we are trying to achieve through the Towards a Global TVET Agenda initiative, strengthening international cooperation in TVET. And let me briefly introduce you to the initiative and explain this connection. Towards a Global TVET Agenda, or TGTA in short, is, like Rory and Kenny already said, a multilateral initiative led by the German Federal Ministry for Education, Family Affairs, Senior Citizens, Women and Youth, and coordinated by BIBB together with our multilateral partners, UNESCO-UNEVOC, the International Labour Organization, the OECD, and the European Training Foundation. The idea behind the TGTA is quite straightforward. TVET is central to addressing many of the major global challenges we face today, from demographic change and technological transformation to labor market transitions and the need for more inclusive and resilient economies. But no single country can tackle these challenges alone. By learning from one another and working across borders, we can accelerate the modernization of TVET systems and strengthen skills policies worldwide. TGTA therefore provides a framework that brings leading organizations in TVET together and use their complementary strengths to reposition TVET high on policy agendas, support learning and exchange, strengthen data and evidence, promote innovation in TVET and lifelong learning with social partnership and work-based learning as guiding principles, and ultimately to build a lasting global partnership for future-oriented TVET systems. And this is precisely where the UNEVOC Network Coaction Initiative comes in. BIBB is very proud to support the Coaction Initiative through the Towards a Global TVET agenda. For us, it is a particularly valuable contribution to TGTA because it translates a global vision into concrete, practical collaboration. The 2026 projects bring together the impressive numbers now of 17 UNEVOC centers from 17 countries across 5 world regions to work jointly on issues that are highly relevant to the future of TVET. Like Kenny mentioned, intercultural competence and global citizenships, green skills and the attractiveness of construction trades, digital approaches to greening TVET, and digital and pedagogical innovation for sustainability and inclusion. What I find particularly important about these projects is their interregional character. International cooperation in TVET is not about exporting one model or one solution from one country to another. It is about learning from one another and bringing together different experiences, perspectives, and lessons learned, and using this diversity to develop approaches that are relevant in different contexts. The Coaction initiatives create exactly this kind of space. It enables UNEVOC centers to work together, exchange expertise, and jointly develop practical solutions. And importantly, the intention is not for those solutions to remain within the individual project partnerships, but to generate resources and approaches that can be shared and taken up across the wider UNEVOC network and the global TVET community. And this is also what makes the project so relevant to TGTA as a whole. They turn international cooperation into concrete action and generate experiences and results that can feed back into the broader international TVET dialogue. So I'm very much looking forward to hearing more about the 4 selected projects today, learning about their plans and partnerships, and most importantly, seeing how these ideas develop during the implementation period. I wish all 4 project teams a very successful start to their work. Thank you very much, and I'm handing back to you, Rory.
Thank you, Cara, and thanks for placing the initiative within that wider context. We will now move on to the central part of today's program. So this is where we get to talk about the four project teams. So project number one is intercultural competence and global citizenship education, which was mentioned by our colleagues Kenny and Cara. This is led by the Higher Colleges of Technology in the United Arab Emirates. The project addresses intercultural competence and global citizenship within TVET and explores how these can be strengthened through faculty development, learning resources, micro-credentials, and technology-supported approaches. So I am very pleased to introduce Ms. Christine Howling, who's the Executive Dean of the General Academic Requirements Department at Higher Colleges of Technology. Christine, thank you for joining us, and over to you.
Great. Thank you very much, Rory. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for the opportunity to talk about the project that we've been running. So at the Higher Colleges of Technology, last year we started the UNEVOC Coaction Initiative about intercultural competence and global citizenship education. We had 4 partners from Cameroon, the Bilingual Technical School, and Brazil, the SENE, and from Ireland, TU Dublin. So together we were working on the initiative. Now, why did we propose intercultural competence and global citizen education? Well, if you look at the United Arab Emirates, it is a very intercultural environment. We have over 200 nationalities that live here. And even at the Higher Colleges of Technology, we have over 60 nationalities. 80 nationalities of people from all over the world. So really, the country itself is an intercultural environment. So as the largest applied institute of higher education in the UAE, we are preparing students to work in an intercultural environment. Their home is very, very cosmopolitan. So it's not something that is simply an add-on. It is something that needs to become a foundational skill, a way of thinking, a mindset for our students in order to be able to succeed personally and professionally. So the project itself was very ambitious. We had a lot of different parts of it. Through capacity building, so focusing on educator development to then cascade down to students. We created a professional development course using Canvas, which was comprised of 5 main modules, looking at some of the main themes, some of the main theories of intercultural competence. What does it mean? Communication. But then really the whole ideology behind it was to co-create knowledge together. Because especially with intercultural competence, it is something, it doesn't belong to one person, to one country, to one mindset. The whole idea behind it is to be open-minded and open to new ideas and to understand from different perspectives. So that was the main ethos of the course that we did. So as part of it, we had a live forum. Before the forum, we had some modules where people would learn about some of the ideas and then start to build a community of practice, because this is really something that we wanted to continue beyond the project. It's something where we want people to come together and continue to share information, resources across borders. So we started to build a community of practice, asking people to reflect on their own identity, their experience, what they hoped for their students as well, what skills they wanted to develop. Through that, we introduced some of the main AI resources that we had. We had tools using CitizenSphere, which was a ChatGPT personal tutor to help people work through some of the modules and create their own professional development program. We also have several other AI tools as well, looking to let teachers reflect on their own skills, but then also to use in the classroom. We wanted to emulate what people would be doing in the classroom, in the environment. As part of the course, we have a digital handbook, which puts together all of the resources. There is activities in there for classroom ideas that you can do with students, looking at the specific skills. There's also a bank of podcasts, which at the end of this, we'll share a link if anybody would like to get involved and contribute to continuing to build that up. So that can become a learning resource to use in the classroom. And as part of the project, we piloted digital badges. So once people had completed all of the modules, attended the live forum, then they could earn a digital badge. So gearing up towards the idea of micro-credentials, cross-border exchange, with the idea that it could be used as recognition of prior learning, for example. So we launched a pilot in January where we tried the course. We had an initial forum, and then we redid, in order to share the information, we repeated the project in June. So we had over 200 people register, and about 58 attended the live forums. Out of those, about 33 completed the level 1 badge and the level 2. So it showed that although it was very time consuming, there was 5 hours of the live forum, plus about 5 hours beforehand and so about 15 hours of learning. So it really showed that people were very invested in the topic. And throughout, we had a lot of really positive feedback. Everyone who participated said they would like to be involved in certain projects. And really what we took from the project was the importance of this topic that educators felt for their own development, but also for their students. It was becoming something that they needed to really incorporate and embed into the classroom. Throughout the project, we really encouraged collaboration, talking between each other, sharing experiences. And that's the idea, to see what works in one aspect, and then share that to other environments. So, as we said, we weren't just teaching intercultural collaboration, we were practicing it through the way the activities were, through the co-creation of knowledge, sharing of information. We were all learning together as much, the facilitators, the participants, in order to benefit our students. And it was that engagement, that human aspect, that became so important. I think nowadays there is a lot of talk about AI, digitalisation, technology, and yes, we move in a very, very fast moving environment, and keeping up with AI is very important. But we need to always remember that the human at the centre of that. And with a lot of comments from teachers were that they felt that some of the soft skills were being lost with younger people. It was more difficult with social media, etc. So this becomes more and more important, having those human skills, being able to connect with people within your environment and across different environments. So as I said, we would like to continue the project. So if you would like to get involved, feel free to scan the code. I'll also put the link in the chat after this. As part of the project, we've put all the learning resources together. So even if you didn't get a chance to register during the course, all of the resources are available on a website, which we'll also share. So you have the different modules. You also have some of the AI tools, and then access to the digital handbook as well. So as part of these, you will have ideas for different activities that you can do with your students. So for example, here, we have a teacher toolkit. So as part of it, you would have ideas, what you can do, how you can improve communication, thinking from different perspectives, how to increase participation. So some of them are just quick ideas. Others, we have scenarios for discussions with different situations. So here we have lots of different cultural scenarios, misunderstandings, thinking about, what is the cause of the misunderstanding and how to maybe move on from there, and encouraging students to think about their own preconceptions, their own assumptions. So these are available here and then also as a download too. So short scenarios that can be used to self-assess, and you can exploit these into further discussions, thinking about them. So each one has short scenarios, some reflection questions, self-assessment tasks, and different themes that we will look at. So as I said, we don't want the project to end here. It's been a really, really enjoyable activity. Everybody has really benefited from it. So if you are interested in getting involved, please feel free to join. We look forward to continuing with the project. Thank you very much, Rory.
Thank you, Christine, and I echo that it was a very ambitious project, and the outputs have been really great. And I think it's a good opportunity now to open up to the floor. I don't know if would anybody like to raise their hands in the comments. I've been looking at the Q&A feature and function, and nobody has added any questions in there. And I'm wondering, in the audience, is there anybody who would like to pose a question to Christine? We really do encourage kind of open discussion between everyone, because I think that's where we really learn the most from these webinars. I'll just wait a few minutes. Does anyone like to raise their hand? Would like to talk? Oh, we have one, Joseph Kwesi Sarpong, and we've got one also panelist, but I'll say Joseph first. So, Joseph, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Thank you. Joseph,
I'm
please,
here.
what's your question?
I'm looking at did you encounter any challenges during this wonderful initiative? Anyway, thank you for a wonderful presentation. And we'll have time to go through. Yeah, I loved, you were very clear, straight to the point, and very interesting. So congratulations. But what were some of key challenges? Did you face any challenges?
Plenty of challenges, Joseph. So, as you can imagine, with 4 different time zones spread across the world, trying to find common times to meet can be difficult. Plus, everyone I know is very, very busy with their own full-time jobs. Even holiday breaks were different between the institutes. There's also when you're working with 4 different institutes, plus with the UNEVOC as well, there's also you need to think about approvals and permissions. But the challenges that we faced were overcome just by everyone's motivation and engagement in the project. So really nothing was insurmountable. Everyone, although sometimes people were meeting at 7 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock at night, because people were so passionate about the topic, the challenges were easily overcome. But yes, there was plenty, but that's always going to happen especially with big projects.
Super. Thank you for the question. I can see that Constanza also has her hand raised. Constanza, would you like to jump in here and ask a question?
Yes. Thank you very much, Christine. I'm very impressed. How did you get so many results in such a short time? How did you manage it?
It really was a
Only
challenge.
2 months or 3 months?
Well, it was ongoing for a little bit longer, partly
Okay.
because of the approval process. It took time to have final approvals. But in the meantime, so while we were waiting for that, we started working on the project ourselves, just because it was something that we wanted to do anyway. So this was the springboard and the motivation that started everything, the ball rolling. But we wanted to do it just for ourselves and for our students. So we started putting together a framework, a plan, putting together some of the resources so that we knew once we had the green light, we would be able to hit the ground running really quickly with already having a structure in place. So there was a lot. It took longer, much longer than anticipated, but yeah, that's how.
Perfect. Thank you for the question, Constanza. I just see that we've got another question online. We're running a little bit short on time for Q&A, but I think we can open up for Asghar Faizi if you'd like to ask your question.
Hello, thank you for your presentation. I want to ask that how are you going to go on and how are you going to integrate this material or courses in the higher education curriculum, or you want to do it as an extra curriculum?
That's a good
How,
question as well.
how you are going to integrate in the courses and your institution? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. There, we will be doing it explicitly and implicitly. We were planning to have some courses which will be specifically focused on intercultural communication. So my department is about the general academic requirement division. So we look at languages, math skills, soft skills, and holistically developing the students. So we will have some explicit courses on this subject, but also within the courses that we already teach. So, for example, when teaching professional English communication and spoken communication, there is the actual linguistic, the vocabulary, the grammar that you need, but then there's also the way that you speak to people and the different kind of speaking styles. So being aware of those differences, those intercultural differences, which particularly for our students, it's going to be very important when they're working in an international environment. So we will have explicit courses. We will have it embedded within our courses. We will also be having cascading this so that there is more faculty training as well, because as I said, with nationalities from 80 different countries, every year we have new faculty coming to join us. There's always intercultural training for new faculty and even people who have been here for a while, because you never stop learning from each other and from different cultures. Even myself, having been in the Gulf region for a very, very long time, I still learn from colleagues. And so that's maybe a little bit longer than I meant to do. But yeah, so we will be explicitly doing it in courses, but also as activities, because part of the AI tools that we created, we wanted to be able to share those so that students, faculty, and just anyone can benefit from, even in their own time, to think about their own intercultural competence and thinking about how they think about things, and maybe could change or develop empathy or understand someone coming from a very different background, which isn't always easy because we don't always know what our really deep beliefs are until we start to question those ourselves.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, Oscar, for the question. Unfortunately, we actually have more, Christine. We've got more questions in the Q&A chat feature. Your project is clearly popular amongst the audience. Would it be possible that you answer these questions through the chat feature so we can follow up with them and they don't feel missed out?
Yeah,
so that's great.
Thank you.
And thanks, Christine, for the presentation. It was really informative, and it's definitely a great success in the Coaction Initiative. So moving on, we're in good time here at the moment. So I would like to move on to our second project. So this second project is called CRAFT, which is Construction, Resilience, and Attractive Future Trades. And the project is led by Handwerkskammer Koblenz in Germany and brings together partners from Germany, Malaysia, Uganda, and Costa Rica. So I'm delighted to welcome Ms. Constanza Kusel, Head of International Projects at Handwerkskammer Koblenz. She will be giving the presentation today. So Constanza, thanks very much for joining. The floor is yours.
Yes, thank you very much. Can you see my screen?
Perfectly.
Okay, great. So, yes, you explained it very well, our name, the name of our project. We are the CRAFT project. So we are focusing on the construction sector. And of course, there we are focusing on the resilience of buildings. And also we want to make professions in the construction sector much more attractive for young people in the TVET sector. Why did we choose this topic? So as you see, I would like to explain it to you with 4 figures. The construction sector worldwide is responsible for 34% of CO2 emissions. It's responsible for 32% of energy consumption, and also for 35% of waste generation, and 40% of the consumption of our resources we have. So you can see it's a very, very important sector where we can gain a lot of advantages to improve our environment, to improve our green skills we need, especially in this sector. We have got a very diverse partnership. Our partners are, we are the lead, as you announced us, the partner in Germany. We are responsible for a dual system in the TVET system. Then we've got our Uganda partner, National Curriculum Development Center. They are the partner for the curricula embedding and needs assessment. And another partner is the University Tun Hussein On in Malaysia. They are the partner for the higher education for TVET educators. And the fourth partner is the National Institute of Apprenticeship in Costa Rica. They are for integration into training and business-related adaptation in Costa Rica. So as you can see, we are a very diverse partnership. What makes me lucky, because of this, we've got a good opportunity to get a wide range with our results, and to also to address different target groups. Our objectives are to make the TVET in the construction sector, of course, more attractive for young people through sustainability and also digitalization. So we want to develop green skills in all these education systems. And how can we achieve this goal? We wanted to achieve it through developing a practice-oriented module for sustainable construction. And this module from each partner will develop a module. And these modules can be implemented in the TVET system of other partners and of other centers in the whole UNEVOC center. How do these modules look like? As you can see, we've got 4 different modules from each partner. The modules are supposed to last from 1 up to 3 days. We will create materials for theory and practical parts, and also very important for the pedagogical part. So how to teach all these contents. After this, we want to make a compendium out of all these modules that each UNEVOC center, whatever, can choose out of it to take this module and embed it in their own TVET system. And as you can see, we've got Costa Rica at first. They are concentrating on design and local adaptation with sustainable materials. We, as a German partner, we will create a module for clay plaster for the apprenticeship and to be implemented in our so-called dual system and in our training courses in the Chamber of Crafts Koblenz. Then we've got the university in Malaysia. They are focusing on the higher education and on the academic level, and they will create a module with the so-called building information modeling system, where you also can implement contents for sustainable building. And last but not least, we've got our Ugandan partners. They would like to produce clay bricks and to build a model house. And what is very interesting, because the NCDC is of course it's a board, and not working practical normally, but it's a very nice idea to go outside and produce bricks and make something practical, and we try to support them wherever we can. These to our modules. Then, sorry, next slide. Our target group, as you can see, we address, of course, young people, apprentices, but also TVET instructors on the academical level, higher education, as in Malaysia, but also on the master trainers on the lower level, as for example in Germany and in each other country, in each other partner country. We also want to address the skilled crafts companies so that they can upskill themselves, for example, in building with net sustainable materials. And what is also interesting, if you look at the example of Uganda, you can also address the industry where companies start perhaps to produce sustainable materials for the buildings. And of course, we want to address local communities because we all have to save our environment, and especially communities and municipalities should have an interest in sustainable construction, especially in resilient construction with regard to increased climate change. Our impact will be, of course, the environmental impact, so that we, with supporting and strengthening green skills in the whole construction sector, that we reduce CO2 emissions, reduce waste production, save our resources. And as I mentioned at the example of Uganda, the economic part, as you see here, the blue circle, it's for strengthening the economy of a country, perhaps on a very small range, but you can try to strengthen it if you develop some ideas for the industry to produce a local materials for the construction sector for our sustainable buildings. And of course, we want to modernize the TVET systems, the curricula, wherever it is possible, and we want to strengthen our international institutional partnership. And what is very important is that we are, if you think about the construction sector, it's a very interdisciplinary sector. You need architects, you need engineers, you need skilled crafts workers, you need the industry which produces the sustainable materials. So this is a very interdisciplinary sector where we have to strengthen green skills on each level. So, and this is also what we can achieve a bit with our project because of our good partners, which are also from different disciplines and different levels of education. Yes. So that's on my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Constanda, for that really interesting presentation. It's very interesting how it actually works on several different levels, from the very practical maybe to the discussion level. At the moment, I can see a lot of hands clapping for your presentation, so well done. I'd now actually like to open up the floor to questions similarly as before. Would you like to ask questions? Yes, the first one, we have Louis von Hoystein. I will now unmute you and you can ask your question. We have a few questions. Okay, so Louis, would you like to ask your question?
Cannot
Hello,
hear
Louis.
you. You have to, yeah, okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, thank you very much, Constance, and for your presentation and Ruari for having us today. So I've put it in the chat as well for the hosts and the panelists the question. I am the National Director Training at the Retail Motor Industry Organization in South Africa, and we've got 8,500 employer members that we look after. So my question is, Constance, it's always valuable to hear from you and other colleagues from around the world how you build a business case for employers to participate. So my question is, how do you make a business case to employers for training young people? And what have you found works best to keep the employers committed and actively involved once they have joined the program? Shall I repeat, Ruari or Constance?
I hope I understood right, because you asked between the matching of employers and young trainees.
Correct.
Do you mean this?
Yes.
Yes, because you ask especially us, because we are specialists for the so-called dual system. So we have got a lot of experience with matching employees with young trainees. So, but this always the same question: how to engage the private sector and the employers to take young people and to train young people in their companies. Is it your question? I got it right?
It's my question, yes.
Okay, yes. So it's very difficult to give an answer, because we have got the advantage that we have got a very, very long tradition, and it's an honor. In Germany, it's a kind of honor to train young students, young people, and they are also paid because they are employees of the companies. So they are working for the companies, they are employees of the companies, and in between the 3 years apprenticeship, they go to school. So, but only a bit of time, not so much. So how to convince the companies? Of course, they have got advantages, and beyond the ethical part, to train your own followers who will later take your company, for example, or lead your company. The young people, if they are working in the average daily life and work out on site, for example, and they gain money. If after a year, it's an advantage for the company because they gain money for the leader of the company, for the company owner. That is only one argument. So we have to create awareness, and we have to go always to inform companies about the advantages they have if they train young people. It's a very difficult task, and it's a challenging task, I know, but we have to continue to create awareness that it's an advantage for a company to train young people in a practical part and directly on site. Is it okay for you? Is it answered your question now?
Yes, Constance.
I'm not sure because it's difficult.
No. Thank you very much. Let's allow other colleagues to also ask you questions, but thanks for your response, and thanks for having us again today, Constance.
Thank you, Louis, for the question. I think we've just one more time for another question. We have Mahmoud Khalil. I'd like to ask you to jump in here with a question for Constanza.
Yes, thank you, Rory, and thank you so much, Constanza. Do you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
That was a smart and very impactful presentation from your side. My question is regarding the modernization of the TVET curriculum. Would we expect to see these models that you reviewed like as an international micro-credentials? Because in civil engineering, I think here in UAE, we don't have like a formal qualification, a full qualification. So to start with like a micro-credential, an international micro-credential, that would benefit everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good idea. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now I think we're coming to the end. Yeah, so we're coming up to 10 past. Constanza, similar to what I said to Christine, that we're
Yeah.
having questions in the Q&A session. If you want to look for the participants, if you want to use the Q&A session, it would be great if you could start the question with the person's name that you're looking to answer the question, so we can follow between the different projects. So for Constanza, say Constanza, and then the question afterwards, and we can move through those while we take the other presentations. So thank you, Constanza. Really appreciate
Thank
it.
you so much.
Yeah, it was really great, and I have to say I'm really loving the amount of questions that are coming from the audience. So please keep it up. It's great to have this kind of interaction between the audience and the panelists themselves. So on to Project 3. So Project 3 is from Education University of Hong Kong. The project is titled Greening TVET with Digital Technologies, a Baseline Assessment Tool and Institutional Pathways for Sustainability. So as I said, the project is led by EduHK in Hong Kong, together with partners in Malaysia, China, and Zambia. So I'm very pleased to introduce Mr. Kevin Young, Associate Professor and Coordinator of the UNEVOC Centre in the Hong Kong and the Education University of Hong Kong. So Kevin, thank you very much for joining us, and I'd like to hand it over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. You can hear me clearly?
Very clearly. Thank you.
All right, that's great. Thanks, Rudy, for the introduction, and thank you for having us. So, yeah, I'm Kevin Young from the Education University of Hong Kong, and also with us, a very important person, also leading the project is Dr. Margarita Pavlova. Okay, currently the research fellow of our UNEVOC Centre in Hong Kong. So, yes, this is the project title. Okay, so you can see the focus here is greening TVET, okay, and also the other word is digital technologies. So basically, okay, our goal is to use digital technologies to facilitate TVET institutions in greening their institutions. So I'm going to talk more about it. So this is the context, okay, so as we can see, okay, we know that the importance of greening, okay, in the context of TVET, actually not just TVET, but also many different sectors. And it requires changes across curriculum, campus management, industry links, and also teacher skills. Particularly, changes are needed because of the emergence of AI, right? So, like AI, online tools, okay, can do a lot of things to make our campus systems smarter, okay, create smart campus systems, and also, okay, data analytics can significantly accelerate eco-friendly practices. And also at the same time, okay, we find that, okay, most frameworks do not have enough systematic tools to evaluate how digital technology supports greening across institutions. So based on these contexts and rationale, okay, we are trying to do this, okay? So you can see at the first, okay, step, okay, we want to develop a tool collaboratively with our partner institutions in designing an adaptable tool based on the UNESCO-UNEVOC CEDEFOP Green Guide. Okay, so we are looking at the guide, okay, in terms of like designing our assessment tool. And then using that tool, we hope to build capacity by delivering training to enable TVET institutions to conduct institutional self-evaluations so that they can use the tool to actually know how they have been doing in terms of greening in their own TVET institutions. The third objective is to pilot assessment, okay? We aim within the project period, support up to 10 TVET institutions. Actually, we aim to have more than 10, but around 10, okay, is our target to benchmark strengths and institutional gaps in greening their institutes. And with these pilot and findings, okay, we aim to refine the assessment tool and ultimately produce evidence-based recommendations for global UNEVOC network scaling so that we can disseminate it in our UNEVOC network. So we have partner institutes from Malaysia, okay, and also, okay, the Chinese mainland and also Zambia, okay. So hopefully, okay, we are getting, some diverse views, okay, with the different contexts, okay, and also, okay, the level of development in terms of greening and also technology in a different context, so to inform us in developing the assessment tool. So we have several beneficiaries. Okay, the direct beneficiaries include, of course, okay, within the project period, the 10 pilot TVET institutions, because we will be, giving them some training and also letting them use the assessment tools, okay, for their leaders to receive data, to make decisions in terms of planning and also how to make their institutions more green, okay. And also, okay, teachers and trainers, we give them practical guidance on utilizing digital tools for greening skill instruction, okay, because we will be doing some capacity building workshop for TVET teachers and trainers. And indirectly, okay, through the dissemination of our assessment tools and findings, okay, we want to disseminate it to the global UNEVOC network, okay. Hopefully, okay, the baseline tool, okay, and policy insights can be replicable, okay, to other contexts as well. Okay, and also our TVET learners and the industry, okay, the students will benefit from modern green curricula and sustainable campus operations. So these are the things that we plan to do within the project period. Okay, first, okay, we have already scheduled our partner representatives to come to Hong Kong in early October to co-design the digital indicators across the 6 screening dimensions. So we will be having a very intensive 3-day workshop at the Education University of Hong Kong, okay, for meetings, okay, to do that. Another thing after that, okay, we are going to organize some capacity building workshops for the TVET institutions participating, okay, as partners, all right? So we will be delivering some online training modules, okay, for our partnering institutions, okay, on how to apply the tools in their context. And also, okay, activity 3, okay, for the institutional pilot, okay, for the 10 TVET institutions, we will be, okay, letting them use, okay, the assessment tools that we have designed. Of course, I mean, giving us some feedback, okay, to refine the assessment tools. And then finally, okay, of course, we'll write the reports and do webinars, okay, in the global UNEVOC network to disseminate what we have found and what we have decided, okay, for our assessment tools. So there are some expected outcomes, okay? Of course, the tool is the main thing that we want to produce, okay? That should be adaptable, okay, to different contexts in greening TVET. Okay, we also, okay, expect to produce training package, okay? Like a complete training curriculum and step-by-step guides, documents, okay, for different institutions to adapt the assessment tool. And also, okay, the report from 10 pilot institutions, they are going to write to us, okay, the assessment reports, okay, identify some gaps in terms of helping us to improve the assessment tool. And also, okay, some regional synthesis reports, okay, and also some kind of practical recommendations, okay, for wider dissemination in the UNEVOC network. All right, so we hope that, okay, we can disseminate the findings through our network, okay, so this will be through global webinar, okay, and then we also want people to access and adapt the baseline assessment tool for their own institutions, okay, and it will open the dialogue for peer learning in terms of how we green TVET, okay, in a digitalized manner, okay, and also utilize open educational resources, okay, produced during the project. So pretty much it, okay, for my sharing, okay, if you have any questions, okay, Margarita and myself will be happy to address. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you, Kevin, for this really great discussion. It really is interesting to see the focus on the outputs as kind of shareable and replicable throughout other institutions. I think we immediately already have a question being asked. So this is an excellent day of engagement with the people. So the next person is Joseph Kwesi Sarpong. I'm going to hand it over to you to ask your question.
Yeah, thank you, Raul. Good presentation, Kevin. That's good work. One word I've heard from the three presentations is greening TVET. And Kevin, your presentation is focused on greening aspect as well. Would you take some clues from the first two presentations and see whether you can use some of their concepts in greening TVET? I wanted to wait for the final presentation, but was it Christine and Constance? They all mentioned greening TVET. Can we have something generic? And I would really want to. I'm speaking from Ghana, and we are also talking about greening TVET. So I would want to learn from you. That is the point. But then, what is generic amongst the three presentations that I've heard so far? Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much for the question. So maybe I can say something and Margarita can supplement later. You know, our focus is more on the assessment tools, right? I mean, like how we help, TVET institutions to evaluate their own pace or like where they are at, their position in terms of greening their institutions. Whereas as far as I understand, okay, other projects may focus more on actual practices, okay, which is of course fairly valuable. Okay, so I think we are actually taking the different focus. So we focus more on evaluation and the assessment part. Margarita?
Okay. All right, thank you. Well noted.
Yes. I think that we're talking about greening at different levels. And so as Kevin mentioned, we're talking at the institutional level. And also this tool will help institutions to assess what is going on and how they can improve that. And because we will have dimensions and indicators at different levels. So they will see, for example, that they're at level 1. So this is a lot for them to improve. And we will have the descriptors. What do we mean by different levels? Yes, so they will see what does it mean to be at level 4. So that tool will be educational in itself. Yes, and also we are developing it based on the experience we already have. We have this tool that we developed, which is called Gary, and it helps TVET institutions to assess their readiness for greening across all areas that have been designed by UNESCO. So we will have this, and based on that learning, we're developing now a new tool, because we all know that digital and greening are going hand in hand. So I think, and our team believes, and obviously UNESCO-UNEVOC Centre that supported our project believes, it is really important to make sure that our TVET institutions and teachers know how to use digital tools to enhance the greening process. And I think that I read some good ideas that training can be done maybe for the larger audience. So we will try this with 10 plus institutions, including Germany, as it was suggested to us. And then after we refine the tool, we can do training for the broader audience, and then we can refine it even further. So if that be okay, and we can go beyond the time frame of the project.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you for the questions. Yes. Is anybody else would like to raise their hand for another question? Because I do see one in the chat at the moment. So it says, hello, Kevin, please, is this a Hong Kong national intervention backed by a policy or development partner driven project? And how has the Hong Kong government planned to integrate this approach into the national TVET system?
All right. Yeah. Thank you for this question. Because we are I think the Hong Kong government, okay, we are also, I mean, emphasizing greening, okay, but I don't see any like very clear policy in terms of what we are doing right now, okay, in terms of like having a very clear assessment tools, okay. Basically, I mean, we have the idea of greening right now in Hong Kong, but different institutions may be doing their own things, okay. So I think for our project, we'll be like creating something that can be adaptable among different institutions to make some kind of assessment of their readiness of greening more standardized. Yeah. So any supplement, Margaret?
I also think that that would help institutions to develop their action plans, yes, based on the evidence. And for our project, of course, we're working with, planning to work with Vocational Training Council, which is the biggest TVET provider in Hong Kong. And then it would be up to them. We can't force them, of course, yes, but it would be up to them if they see the relevance of the tool, they will adapt it. And we already know that they have the generic green module, so they believe that it is important. So majority of the students are going through learning these green skills and green competencies. And then if we add some digital aspect to that, I believe it would be interesting for them.
Okay, thanks for the answers there. I think we've got time for one more. We've got 2 minutes before this closes up this Q&A session. So I'll ask it from the Q&A text box that we have. It's what are the main difficulties when you set up your project, particularly in the side of teachers and human resource managers within schools? And this comes from Faisal Ben Brahim. Over to you, Kevin or Margarita.
Yeah, a quick question is limitation is well, I mean, to be frank, I mean the funding amount is not huge. But I mean, we are we will have to use our time, okay? But I think, of course, I mean this is worthwhile, okay? But limitation is that we still have to deal with our own like other duties, okay? But we really need to like allocate time, okay, to achieve the project objectives. This is my first reaction, okay, in terms of the challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that we're currently at the stage of recruiting TVET institutions because our project started a little bit late and we just had the first kick up session with our partners. So we splitted our duties, what we will be doing, what parts of the framework we are developing, and we have another meeting on the 28th. And by the 28th of August, we should have a draft list of TVET institutions that would be involved. And I think because it is a benefit for TVET institutions to understand where they are and how they can improve and how they can develop their action plans, I think that we'll recruit 10 plus institutions.
Thank you. I think that's answered all the questions. Just on a similar point before the questions, we've actually got quite a lot of questions in the Q&A text function. If you'd like to answer those questions as we continue through the new presentation, just so we can get to everyone. Thanks for the great presentation, Margarita and Kevin. And we'll move on to the next presentation, which is the final presentation for today. So this comes from Cambodia, EHT Paul de Bruhl, and the project is known as the Green and Inclusive TVET Learning Labs from Paul de Bruhl in Cambodia. So at this moment, I'd like to welcome Celeste Muth de Bruhl, Communications and Project Manager at École de l'Hôtellerie et de Tourisme Paul de Bruhl. So Celeste, thank you very much for joining us, and the floor is yours.
Hello?
Hello, Celeste. Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. Okay, can you see my screen? It should be loading.
Yeah, not just yet. Yeah, it's still loading at the moment. We don't see it. Do you want to try one more time, maybe? Yes, it's up. It's up.
Yeah. The joys of Wi-Fi in Cambodia. Sorry about that.
No, we've lost the presentation. The presentation came up. So I think if you try it one more time, it should share.
Rory, this is Aldrich. I think
Yeah.
Miss Celeste is actually experiencing a network bandwidth issue, so maybe it's just
Ah.
okay for her to say something about the project and
Okay. Yeah.
the
Sure.
presentation any longer.
Thanks for that, Aldrich. Appreciate it. Yeah, that's no problem. But I think Celeste is frozen at the moment. I don't think it's Celeste here. No. Okay. So this is the last presentation. So I don't know. I suppose for those who want to know a little bit about the Coaction Initiative, I mentioned in the beginning that the Coaction Initiative is a kind of initiative that is for UNEVOC centres that are part of the UNEVOC network. If you're interested in joining the UNEVOC network, which is open for TVET institutions, we encourage you to contact the UNEVOC Network Secretariat, who is the body that coordinates the UNESCO-UNEVOC and the TVET institutions that are part of that. And I think that Celeste is now back. Celeste, would you like to, are you there? Yeah, you can jump in. Hello, Celeste. Celeste. So, Celeste, can you hear us? No? Okay. Okay, so unfortunately, Celeste is having really bad troubles. I don't know, maybe we can return to maybe the other projects. I can see Celeste is there, but just it doesn't seem to be.
Can you hear me? Maybe I can do without the slides.
I can, yes, please do. I can hear you now.
All right, so sorry about that. The joys of Wi-Fi in Cambodia. So good morning or good afternoon to everyone, and thank you for letting me present this project for you today. So as Rory mentioned, my name is Celeste. I'm the project manager at the École d'Hôtellerie de Tourisme de Folgefeuille in Siem. And I'm pleased to introduce our Green and Inclusive TVET Learning Lab. So our school is the lead UNEVOC Centre for this project, and working together with two partners, EduHK, who you just heard from, as well as Iloilo Science and Education University, also called ISATU, in the Philippines. Our project focuses on how TVET institutions can use their own practices, environment, and partnerships as learning opportunity to support sustainability, digitalisation, and inclusion. So to understand the project, I think first I will explain a little bit about why our school is taking the lead. EHT Polybro is a hospitality and tourism institution based in Siem Reap, and since our creation, we have focused on preparing young people for careers in hospitality and tourism. But over the years, sustainability has become increasingly integrated into our institutional development and our learning environment. One of our main examples is our Eco-Campus program. Through this approach, sustainability is not treated as a separate subject. We try to integrate it in the way the school operates, the way the students participate in our campus life, and how sustainability is connected to our vocational education. Our work has included a lot of the different sustainability areas, from waste management, water, energy use, food system, and sustainable procurement, and student engagement. So our school was the first TVET institution to receive the green flag in the world and the first school in Asia. This green flag is a certification by the Foundation for Environmental Education, and we have now continued developing our eco-campus approach since then. This experience is important for the project because we're not starting from a theoretical model. We have institutional experience for more than 6 years now, that we can open, examine, and share with our partners and work together to improve sustainability in our campuses. And this is why we wanted to take this experience further to the Coaction Initiative. We asked ourselves how an institutional or sustainability approach like this could become not only something we implement ourselves, but something that can be used as a learning model for other TVET institutions. This partnership with the 3 universities was deliberately designed around 3 complementary areas of expertise. The first is our experience in sustainable institutional practices. The second is by UNEVOC from Hong Kong, that brings a strong perspective on digitalisation and pedagogical innovation. This is particularly important because greening TVET is not about physical change and infrastructure, or it's also about asking how we teach, how we use digital technology, and how we monitor progress on how we make learning more accessible and inclusive. And the third partner, Iloilo Science and Technology University from the Philippines, brings another dimension to that. It's particularly relevant to our context as a hospitality and tourism institution because it brings sustainable tourism through gastronomy. Their expertise allows us to explore the relation between food, culinary heritage, and local communities and tourism. This partnership is quite deliberate, bringing sustainable, inclusive institutional practices, digital and pedagogical innovation, and sustainable tourism through gastronomy. So those are the 3 pillars of our project. There's also a reason why this project has a strong South Asian dimension, is because we're trying to, Cambodian and the Philippines share real realities about tourism, cultural heritage, and local communities as the main factor for development in the country. At the same time, Hong Kong provides a very different urban educational context together with strong expertise in digital innovation. That's why for us, this diversity is important because we're not trying to create a model that belongs to one institution, country, or context, but that something that can be actually transferred between different countries, schools, and approaches. So the diversity of these 3 institutions is part of the learning process as well. So this brings us to the central concept of our project, the Living Lab. For us, Living Lab means the institution itself becomes part of the learning environment. Instead of only teaching sustainability through classroom theory, we use the campus, its operation, its community relationship, and its professional environment as real learning spaces. For example, students and teachers can look at how waste is managed on campus, how food is sourced, how energy and waters are used, how biodiversity can be integrated into the school environment. They can also observe a practice, identify it, analyze it, and see how it can be improved. And this same principle applies beyond campus, into a cultural heritage site, a restaurant, or a community initiative. And digital tools help us to document, analyze, and share this experience. So the Living Lab is not simply a physical space, it's a way of learning through real situation and real practices that is linked to our TVET roots and how to turn those experiences into knowledge that can be shared. To tell you a little bit more about our 3 pillars. So the first pillar is on sustainable and inclusive institutional practices. This is where our EHT's eco-campus experience becomes particularly relevant. We want to look at how institutions can integrate sustainability into their everyday operations. But this objective is not simply to present our own practices. We will encourage our partners to observe, assess, and reflect on their practices, and then consider how they can adapt it into their own context. We want to move from simply knowing that sustainability is important to having the tools to develop concrete institutional actions. The second pillar focuses on sustainable tourism through gastronomy, led by Isatu from the Philippines. This pillar looks at how food is not simply a vocational skill, but a way to understand culture, heritage, community, and local economies. So we can explore questions such as how traditional food practices can be preserved, how local products and producers benefit from tourism, how these experiences can be transformed into meaningful learning for TVET students. This pillar is particularly relevant for us because hospitality and tourism education is directly connected to the communities and destination where our graduates will work. The third pillar focuses on digital and pedagogical innovation. Here, Hong Kong brings an important perspective on how digital technology and innovation techniques, approaches can support greening of TVET, as we just talked earlier with Kevin. We are looking at how digital tools can help us document experiences, support learning, monitor sustainable practices, and make resources more accessible. So this is how can technology and pedagogy help more people participate in sustainability learning. So now I want to tell you about our first activity. That was an immersive visit to Iloilo to the Philippines, hosted by ESATU in July. Our teachers from our partners and our school went to the Philippines to experience the local context and explore how gastronomy, cultural heritage, and sustainable tourism can become learning environments. During the visit, we went beyond the university and explored the different parts of the local and cultural food ecosystem to study how cultural mapping works. This immersive visit gave us our first practical experience of one of the project's pillars, and the lesson from the visit will directly contribute to the material we developed together. The next major activity will bring together all the partners to Cambodia to visit our school for our Train the Trainer component of the project. It will allow us to turn experience and knowledge from 3 institutions into a more structured learning program. It will be the moment where we trial our TOT practices, refine it, and then to be able to create a workbook from it. For us, it will be important to share our eco-campus experience directly with our partner, while at the same time receiving their feedback and perspective and helping them evaluate sustainability from their schools. And we're also looking forward to showing our partner not only our school, but our Cambodian context, culture, communities, and the reality of sustainable tourism here in Siem Reap. This idea is that the Cambodian experience will become another case study within the wider Living Lab approach. And we expect our partner to challenge us, bring us new ideas, and improve our own practices. The final objective is to transform these experiences into something that we can be useful beyond the 3 partner institutions. The main output of the project will be an open access, green, inclusive TVET Living Lab toolkit. This toolkit will bring together training module development around the 3 pillars: facilitator guidance, cultural mapping tools, and experiential learning documentation, and implementation template and monitoring and evaluation tools. We don't want to produce a publication that simply describes what we did. We want to produce a practical resource that any other TVET institution and school from the UNEVOC network can actually use. A center should be able to look at the toolkit and understand where to start, what they should assess, how they can, what activities they can implement and how. The toolkit, therefore, will be developed and refined through activities themselves. We will test the approaches, collect the feedback, identify what works and what needs to be improved, and then consolidate the learning into resources that can be adapted over institution. And this is ultimately where we see the value of the Coaction Initiative. We are starting within the 3 institutions, but we don't want the project to remain a partnership between us 3. We want the experience to become a shared knowledge within the UNEVOC network. We also know that many UNEVOC centers are already developing innovative approaches to greening and digital inclusion. And our objective is not to say that we have found the solution, rather that we want to contribute a practical framework built from 3 different institutional experiences, which can further be adapted and improved by others. So to conclude, our Green and Inclusive TVET Learning Lab is about connecting institutional practices, community experience, and pedagogical innovation. It brings together our 3 universities, and our next step is to continue and then transform what we have learned into an open, practical toolkit for the wider UNEVOC network. Our ambition is therefore not simply to develop a successful project between Cambodia, Hong Kong, and the Philippines. It is to create something that other TVET institutions can take, adapt, and make relevant to their own context. Thank you very much, and sorry you didn't see my beautiful slides.
That's no problem. You made up with a great presentation there without the slides. So thank you, Celeste. Now we're running out of time. We're nearly finished at the end. We're getting a lot of claps and emojis from the chat there. So everyone's very impressed. Again, similar to what we've been doing before, I'd like to open up the floor if anyone has any questions, but we will have to limit this to maybe 1 or 2 before we move on to the closing remarks. So has anyone from the audience would like to raise their hand and ask a question? Or let me see. No, actually, I have a question that I can ask in lieu of this. So, I'd like to begin with a question about who ultimately benefits from the project. So, who are the main beneficiaries of the Green and Inclusive TVET Learning Labs project, and how do you expect the benefits to extend beyond the 3 partner institutions?
Yeah, so this project is designed to benefit several groups, and we see them as connected together. So the first will be the teachers and the trainers, obviously. Through our training the trainer approach, they will gain a lot of practical tools, and they will be able to implement those in their practical teachings. Then, of course, the student would be great beneficiaries as well. The objective is to create a learning environment where the students can experience all of those things that we have developed through different activities, practices, and community engagement, digital learning, etc., to help them develop skills to apply sustainability in their future. So that brings me to one of the other beneficiary would be the communities and local stakeholders as well. Our students can take what they've learned to their job, their families, their village, their neighbors, and spread that information as well. And it's a way to have the industry evolve as well from the root, the new employees, their students, and then how the industry can then evolve with them and their criteria.
Super, Celeste. Thank you for the answer. I think we're just about 2 minutes over, so I think we'll move on to the closing remarks. But before we do, I'd like to say just a few more words just before we move on to Kenny's input. What I hope today has demonstrated is not only the diversity of the issues being addressed, but also the variety of ways in which UNEVOC centres can work together across very different institutional, national, and regional contexts to turn these shared challenges into practical collaboration. As we emphasize at the beginning, today is the starting point. It's not the end point. We will continue to follow these projects during the implementation, and there will be an opportunity to share their outputs, experiences, and lessons with the wider UNEVOC network and TVET community. And this really comes in the form of our showcase webinar, which takes place in December. So I would welcome all of you who is in the participant list there. Please do come back, because when we enter the showcase webinar, that's where we're talking about the concrete inputs, the lessons learned, the challenges faced, and the replicability of the outputs that have been produced. And we would like to see everyone to participate in that showcase webinar. So for our formal closing remarks and next steps, it's my pleasure now to hand the floor back to Kenny Muscat, Programme Officer for Innovation and Excellence in TVET at UNESCO-UNEVOC. My name was Rory. I'm very happy to meet everyone. I was really encouraged by the amount of engagement and questions that have been asked. And, we will hopefully share with you the presentations that take place during this webinar after the event. So thank you very much. And I hand over now to Kenny.
Thank you so much, Rory, for the handover, as well as for moderating today's webinar. I think today's webinar for me was a reminder of how strong the UNEVOC network is, and the positive change that we can all bring together to upgrade TVET systems across the UNESCO member states that we are working in. I would like to say a big thank you for the speakers for presenting the interesting projects that they are working on. Topics that are very important for UNESCO and also for the Towards a Global TVET Agenda initiative. So we had green and digital transformation, we had sustainable construction, inclusion, intercultural competence, and global citizenship as well. Thank you also for the partner centers. Today there was no space for you, unfortunately, to provide input, but we know that you are a very important part of these coaction initiatives, and we hope to hear from you later on when we have the showcase webinar. We look forward as UNESCO-UNEVOC to supporting all of you that are implementing these projects. Thank you also to the participants that attended. It was really interesting to have so many questions from you. And also thank you for staying with us until the very end. We really appreciate that. Based on the questions that you are asking, I would also like to remind you that at UNESCO-UNEVOC we have a website with several knowledge resources related to the different topics that we discussed today. And I strongly encourage you to visit the website and look at these resources. I think my colleague is going to share with you the link to access these. Before we end, I have to once again thank the German Ministry for Education as well as BIBB for their generous support, because without them we wouldn't be able to support these coaction initiatives. Finally, thank you very much, all of you, and I wish you all a pleasant rest of the day.
Thank you, and take care to everyone. Thanks,
Thank
Kenny.
you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.